Okay, YouTube friends, what I have got here is I'm back on this 300 again. If you'll notice, I've got the cover back on it. I've got all our push rods adjusted as we talked about. And we got all our marks back up. What I want to do is I'm going to turn this back to top dead center on my compression stroke. There we go. So both of my intake valves are relaxed. And what you're going to be able to see is you're going to be able to see a little bit of movement there in that rocker arm. And what that is it's just preloaded, okay? Same way with this one. You can push them down a little bit because a little bit of oil's in there. I've hooked this up an oil gauge. We got a little bit of a leak here, but not too bad. But I've got our oil pressure gauge hooked up here. What I'm basically doing is priming the system. I'm seeing oil come up through the lifters, up through the motor, and you'll make a little bit of a mess doing this stuff. But have you the oil that you're going to run in this thing with your zinc and all that stuff in it already. Like I said, I use to break in, I use the Rotella 1030. It's got all that zinc and stuff in it. Works great. Used it many times. You want to use something like that with the zinc in it to break in this stuff with. I just kind of set up a dial indicator. I was checking some stuff. But anyway, what I done is a lot of people go, what do you got here? All this is the end. It comes out, it'll come out this aggravating. This is the end out of the original distributor. Now, I used to race the little 2300s. All I done, because we used to prime those before we'd even fire them. A lot of times. Because of the methanol and stuff we used to run them. But this right here is just an old distributor that I've taken apart over the years. If it's right down in there real nice, there's many ways to do this. You can stand there and turn the crankshaft till you see that oil. Basically what you want to do is see the oil out here. But if you hit the trigger, and make sure you're turning it clockwise. If you hit the trigger, you'll see your oil pressure go up, and you should start to see the oil come out these little holes. See it right there? Now, at that time, that lifter, you shouldn't have any movement in it like you had before. If that thing's sitting at 40 or 50 pounds, it's leaked off a little bit. But if I took and hit this right here and built it back up to, say, 70 pounds or whatever, you're not going to be able to move that thing like you were. Okay? That's how an engine works with a hydraulic cam, is the hydraulics, the oil part of it, is taking up the space in that lifter. That's why you only seat these adjustable rocker arms one round, which takes up about, I ain't going to say it's going to be half of the lifter's capacity, but it's maybe 35%, 28, 35%, somewhere right in there, of the lifter's capacity. It's preload of the lifter to keep it from chattering through its cycle. Then as it's running, as the camshaft comes over and says, hey, I need you to lift that valve X amount, the lifter is actually what's doing that. Okay? The lifter, the hydraulic lifter is what's doing that. So a lot of people get way up in the RPMs and they find out that their lifter And the rocker arm and all that stuff can't handle that stuff, and that's what causes valve float or lifter float. You're floating the lifters out to the point to where they're not strong enough to keep up with what the cam is actually telling it to do. So I hope you understand that part of it. If not, call me and ask me. We'll go through it. But as you can tell, a lot of these you can move now, but a lot of them you can't. You can move them around a little bit. But as long as you got, 30 pounds, 35 pounds of pressure on that thing, and all these lifters are, and like I said, I got it on top dead center, so I know these right here are closed. These right here should be completely closed. But you can see I can move that around a little bit. It's a little aggravating to move, but you could actually push down on that thing a little bit and push it on past the preload. But you got to remember, there's oil in those lifters. So that's basically why I was making this video, just to kind of show you how I prime them. Like I said, there's many ways you can do it. You can stand there and turn that thing around and around and around until you start seeing oil come out these holes. I recommend that you do this. You don't have to. It's a good idea. That way you get oil from your pump all the way through. And if you got a problem with your pump, you'll know it right now. If you don't get any oil up here, find out why. You got a problem somewhere. But right now, like I do, you got oil up here. You know that when this motor starts, it's not going to start dry. I know a lot of people's going to say, well, all you done was just pushed the assembly lube off of all the bearings and stuff. Well, that's fine. I got the zinc oil up here. We're good. No big deal. You're still going to have a certain amount of that assembly lube on it, trust me. That stuff's way stickier than this oil, but that's what I wanted to show. Now, you just basically let this thing set a while. That'll go back to zero. And you just undo this, and you won't make quite a big a mess. But like I already have. But anyway, that's basically what I wanted to show you. Pretty much this engine is ready to finish assembling on the machine. Get it with some antifreeze in it. Get your fuel pump. Get your distributor set. Put your flywheel on it. Make sure you use a good torque wrench. Torque all this stuff down, especially that bolt and your flywheel bolts. If they look old and worn, replace them. Especially your flywheel bolts. These things are dang near 40 years old. It's time to replace them anyway if you never have. So that's basically what you're doing. Oh, by the way, I think I see where that oil's coming from. It's coming out my holes right here. I didn't realize that, but it's coming out all the way through these holes right here. It is. It's not my seal leaking. It's coming out my doggone flywheel bolt hose. So that lets me know right there that I need to put some kind of sealer on those flywheel bolts. I didn't really realize that. I imagine there's probably some engines out there that people think that there's a leak, and all it is nobody put any sealer around the flywheel bolts. So, hey, I learned something new right there on this thing. I didn't realize that they were flow through like that. So, just messing with it. But, yeah, I got to paint the head. I won't do all that stuff until I put the intake and all that stuff back on it. Before I put the plugs in, I'll put some old dummy plugs in it and paint the head. But, yeah, that's where I'm at. But as it is right now, I should be ready to now get it off of this engine stand. And I know y'all wondering what I did here. This is just to hold the front of this motor up. It's so heavy. I just put something up here just to kind of secure it, because there's only 4 bolts back there, and I don't trust those things. Better to be safe than sorry with this thing. It hits you in the foot, it's going to break your foot. This thing's heavy. I think it's heavier than most V8s. But that's where I'm at. I'm pretty much ready to go put this thing on the machine, and because it's easy to get on and off that machine if I had to take it back off. I don't believe I will. I torqued all the head bolts. Everything's good there. If your head bolts don't look good, change them things. ARP makes some great head bolts. These here look fine. We've reused them. They're not torque to yield. Just remember, torque to yield bolts are junk. I don't like them. Once they get hot, they stretch even more. Cause you all kind of problems. But that's where I'm at. If you have any questions, you can call me back, 678-725-9953, or if you like, share it with the buddies. If they have any questions, tell them to call me, whatever. If you see something I've done wrong, call me. Say, hey man, what you did here was wrong. I tried to follow the book, but hey, sometimes those books ain't right, and I found out the hard way. So do your homework. If you find yourself in a pickle, stop and ask somebody. All right, fellow friends. Hope this video has helped you. If I run across anything that I know I did wrong, I'll make a follow-up video on it once I crank it up. Merry Christmas, and see y'all next year.